Welcome back to the class. We're going to be working on chapter 3 today, which is working with formulas. Keep in mind as we go through these formulas, we're going to be working specifically with a statement of cash flows. But know that these formulas can be applied to anything you do in Excel, to your income statements, balance sheet, statements of owner's equity that we just did before, your accounting equation, your journal entries, your anything, your adjustments. All of these equations can be used for anything you do in Excel. One of the great things about using formulas and equations is that it does the math for you. Not only does that save you the time and energy of doing it yourself, but it also helps prevent errors. Okay? So many times people change numbers around, they transpose them, they miss one, they don't type them correctly, they drop a zero, they move a comma, so on and so forth. And many of you have experienced that in Accounting 1 and Accounting 2. I know my weakness is that I transpose them, I flip them all the time. And then my final reports don't come out right and I have to go back and do them over again. Excel, as long as the initial data is typed in right, these formulas will help you with those math issues. Okay. Now, for this problem, for this step-by-step, we're going to be using a file that's already been created for us. I did upload the file into Canvas, and you can also get it from your textbook. There's a download. You can download all of the files. But we are looking for EA3-D1, Statement of Cash Flows. When you open it, it looks like this, so it looks a little different than what we're used to seeing. These already created folders, and I'm just zooming this in a little bit. These already created files have some things that are locked on them that we can't change specifically because they want them to be this way. You'll notice that column B is super skinny and some of your rows are super short. And of course, they've done that for a reason, and they've shown us in the past few chapters how they like to set things up. If you like working in this screen without the grid lines, let me show you where to go if you were on a normal Excel document. Unfortunately, we can't bring those grid lines back in this document because they have them blocked for some reason. But right here on the View tab, you can show grid lines, unshow grid lines. Again, for some reason, they have them blocked and we can't bring them back. So we're going to be working without them for this assignment. And you know what? It's just another way of learning. And you might find that this is easier for you. Again, everybody learns differently. So we're going to create this statement of cash flows for City Music World for the month of December 31st, 2016. Okay. And, excuse me. They gave us some figures there in the middle of your book with all of the numbers in them. Step 1, start Excel, open it. Okay. Step 2, go to cell A5 and type in operating activities. A6 is going to say net income. C6 is going to say 19,400. Okay. A7 is depreciation expense. C7 is 3,100. Row 8 is increase in AR was a negative 600. Increase in AP, 2,100. Okay, now, before we move on to the next section, I want you to look at your computer screens. They already have all of the formatting done for us. Okay, I know we've talked about the difference between the accounting with the dollar signs and everything versus the comma, and we know that in accounting, your dollar signs go at the beginning and the end, but they have them on all of them. Okay. Also, please notice that 600, when we typed in negative 600, it automatically put the parentheses around it, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. So if I were to come over here, and I'm going to do this, but then I'm going to undo it and change this to the comma, the parentheses stay, just the dollar sign disappears. Okay. I'm going to leave it with the dollar signs because that's how they are looking at it. That's how they want us to do it. Okay. Now, step 6, we are in cell A10. Cash flows from operating activities. And this is where we're going to put in our first equation. Now, again, a spot where I see things differently than your book does. I'm going to do it the book's way, and then I'm going to show you another way. Okay? Again, neither way is wrong. It's just a different way of thinking. So the book wants us to type in equals C6. So you'll see that C6 automatically turned blue. We're going to put in a plus sign, C7 plus C8 plus C9. And you notice each one is a different color, and the colors correspond to what's written in the cell versus what color that box is. Go ahead and press enter, and it's going to automatically add that for you. Okay. Now, I am going to take that out. I'm going to show you another way to do your equation. Okay. If you type in equals sum, parenthesis, and then just click and drag over those cells and press enter, it does the same thing. I think it does it quicker. I think it's, you don't have to like necessarily know or pay attention to those cell names because you're clicking and dragging on them. It's the same mathematical formula whether you do the sum of all of those or you add each one individually. The benefit to doing it this way is that if I were to add a row in here and put data in it, it would automatically add it to that equation. Where the other way, because we're selecting specific cells, it will not automatically add it to that equation. Okay, so that's kind of the benefit to using that sum. It wants us to go to C9 and give C9 a bottom border to show that we added those numbers, which is fantastic. And then it says to save your file. So I'm going to go do a save as, just in case I need this again. I don't want to overwrite the file that the book gave me. But if you do, if that happens, you can just go get it again from your Canvas classroom. Okay. I'm going to name this Chapter 3 EA Video. Now, when we do these formulas, when we put in the C's or the B's or the A's, when we put in the names of those cells as opposed to the numbers that are in those cells, another benefit is, let's say that I typed that wrong and it was supposed to be negative 700 instead of negative 600. It automatically updates my formula. Okay? Where if you type in the numbers, if I were to type in equals 19,400 plus 3,100 plus 600 plus 2,100, and then I go change one of those numbers, it's not going to update my formula. Now, we're also using what's called a relative cell reference. So, like when I put in this sum, I actually told the computer I want you to add everything from this spot to this spot. Okay, I gave it a range. Now, by giving it a range, if I were to stick something else in there, it's going to include that in that range. Okay, so that's what's called a relative cell reference. The next thing we're going to play with is a little bit of what ifs. Okay, a little bit of what ifs. And this is kind of what I was just talking about. If I go to cell C6 on page 73, step 2, it wants me to type in 27,100, and you can see that my answer changes. And then we're going to change it to 15,800, and you'll see my answer changes again. Okay, and then use your undo button to put it back. Now, sometimes we might get what's called a circular reference. Okay, sometimes we might get what's called a circular reference, and that's the next thing we're going to look at. Not just circular references, but also copying formulas. So on page 75, we're going to enter some more data in here. So the next section, we just did operating activities. Now we're going to do investing activities. So we have sale of equipment for $71,000 and purchase of equipment negative $83,000. Okay. Now we're going to do a bottom border to show that we're going to add this. And then our heading for our last line in this section, cash flows used in investing activities, colon. Oh, I think I missed something somewhere. Hold on, let me back up just a little bit. I think that one equation was supposed to be in D. Yep. This equation was supposed to be here. Okay, that makes so much more sense. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this formula down here. So all I'm going to do is come up here and click on copy. And go here and paste it. And you can use Control C, Control V. It will do the same thing. Okay. Now you'll notice that when I copied this formula, C6 through C9, when I pasted it down here, it changed it from C11 to C14. Now it did that because it's relative. The computer is thinking you want to add these 4 cells, which are catty corner and up 4. So when I pasted it here, it thought catty corner and up 4, which is why it changed it to that one. Okay, so I can come in here at the top in my formatting bar, and I'm going to change that 11 to be 13. Okay, and then I'm going to press enter, and then that solves that problem. Now the next thing that your computer is showing you is what's called a circular reference. So if you were to use this and then add, what I'm in cell D15, it's going to create an error because what I'm trying to do is add the cell that I'm sitting in. Okay, so I know that I can't add the cell that I'm currently in, so I have to take that out. So that's what a circular reference is. A circular reference is telling you that you're trying to add the same cell that you're currently in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save this. Questions so far? If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me in Canvas. The next section we're going to look at is using find and replace. Okay, so on page 77, develop your skills EA 3-4. We're going to continue on with the same thing we've been working with. Okay, we're going to enter some more data here. So we're going to A17, financing activities, Harold Cameron drawing, oops, minus 14,000, decrease in notes payable, minus 5,000. When you need to edit a cell that you've already pressed enter on, F2 is a shortcut to edit. So the F2 button at the top of your keyboard. Cash flows used in financing activities. So again, equals, they went C18 plus C19. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and press enter. So then top of page 78, select cell C19 and D20 and give them a bottom border. And we're going to come down here to A22 and type net decrease in cash. And for this one, we're going to add, and again, you can type in the numbers or you can just click on the cells. If you're really good with cell names, go ahead and type them in. If you're better with your mouse or with the clicking, go for it. Whatever works best for you, because you're going to end up with the same answer no matter how you do it. Cell A23, we're going to have cash, and we want to know what the beginning balance was. And it tells us that was 111,000. And then our ending balance of cash, whoops, is going to be our net decrease in cash plus our cash beginning balance, which gives us 104,000. Now this one needs your top, it needs your single and double underlines. And if we come down here, there's actually one that was created just for accounting, top and double bottom border. So it'll give us both on one cell. Okay. So we've completed our statement. However, we want to make things so that they are aligned, so everything is the same. You'll notice right here it says increase in AR, and here it says increase in AP. But then down here we typed out the word notes payable. So we kind of want to make them all the same. So we're going to use find and replace for that. So over here on the right hand side of your screen it says find and select. And we're going to go to replace. Find what? We're going to type in that box notes payable. And we're going to replace it with N/P. Let's go ahead and type that in and then click replace all, and it's going to say we made one replacement, so click OK and we can close that box. And now it says decrease in notes payable. So things are just more aligned, they're more focused. On page 79, it's going to show you another find and replace feature, which I think is pretty neat. I'm not going to go through these steps because find and replace is pretty basic. But if we click right here on options, we can choose a format. Like maybe I want to find everything that's bold and change it to not bold. Or I want to find everything that's, you know, something specific. I am going to do this just so you can get the idea. So if I go over here to format and I'm going to click choose format from a cell. And from here I'm going to pick C6, which is this one right here. So I click on C6. Okay. I'm going to go back in my box. There we go. Now it popped back up. And then where it says replace with, I'm going to go back to my format box and click on format. Okay. And I want to choose, it wants me to choose accounting. I'm going to say number. And I want it to have 0 decimal places, but I want the commas in it. So I'm going to change that to a 0 and put the check mark there and click OK. Okay, and then I'm going to click replace all. So what this has done, all done, we've made 9 replacements. It's changed, okay, the ones that were formatted as currency, it has changed them. Now look at our 600. So we can come back in here. Whoops, not that one. Sorry. We can come back in here and change this so that it puts it in the parentheses like it's supposed to. Oh, that's not going to work. So we're going to come up here and just put the comma and decrease the decimals. I needed to do that the first time. Okay, so you'll notice that it changed those, but it didn't change the ones that have the formatting on them, right? So you can go back through and do the same thing. We can do a replace. We can choose this cell specifically. And then we want to format it 0, comma, negatives, and click OK. Replace all. It's going to make 4 replacements. So it changed all of those, but it didn't change this one. So we can go back through and do that again, or we can just come over here and do it manually. Sometimes I find it's just easier to do it manually. I'll see here, there's another negative. Sometimes if we miss them, because I missed it in the first step. Okay. Go ahead and save this file. And that is the end of chapter 3, so you can go ahead and do your assignment. Have a great week.